today. My name is Jaden, and we are back for week 4 of fantasy football. As always, I have our residential expert, Caleb Henley, on the other line. Hello, Caleb.
How's it going, everybody?
So, we seem to really like the whole 3-video thing we got going on, where we focus on the different parts of fantasy football. So, for video number uno, like we're doing now, we are going to be talking about player requisition. Fantasy football is kind of like a movie with tons of twists and turns at the end. Sometimes these twists make them better. I see you, Sixth Sense. I don't know why I said Sense. That was weird. But sometimes they make it worse, which, I mean, I don't want to call out any movies, but Now You See Me, it could have done a little bit better. There were all kinds of twists and turns this week, but you had a few picks, Caleb, that really paid off, like Jerick McKinnon, Joe Burrow, and Darrell Henderson.
Yeah, they all had great weeks. It's pretty awesome to see all these different picks actually lining up, even though things have been absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So I guess just kind of diving in, we should probably talk about streaming options first, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely should.
Okay, well then, which quarterbacks do you think we should be streaming for week 4? Not 3, 4.
So the first quarterback I think you should be able to go pick up on the waivers and be able to stream is Jared Goff. Now, the Rams offense is starting to look like it's back to its 2018 elite self. It's looking really, really good. I think Goff is somebody that you can play week in and week out as needed, and he'll put up good numbers for you. I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was last year, but he looks good. He's producing good fantasy points, so gotta like that. Another quarterback that's back and he's playing really well is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, he's actually producing with that Fitz magic that we all know and love. So definitely go out, give Fitzmagic a try if you need a quarterback. He's definitely someone that can put up some points. He's not afraid to sling the ball around the field. And the last quarterback I'm kind of interested in is Nick Foles. He's taken over the starting job for the Bears from Mitchell Trubisky. So I like Nick Foles a lot. The Bears offense seems like it's better with him at the helm than Trubisky. It's not super surprising. But definitely can give him a shot to maybe keep an eye on him. He's very intriguing. I like Foles with the Bears.
I just can't get over the fact that you literally just said Fitz magic. What even is? Where did you come up with that, or is that like?
No, that's a known thing. Yeah, I'm not making that stuff up at all. No, that's a known term. Fitz magic. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want something cool like that. If you guys can think of anything cool that I can kind of have for myself, like a little term, just go ahead and put it in the comments below, because I would love my own little term, honestly. Well, now that we have our quarterbacks, which running back should we be looking to pick up this week?
So there's a few to kind of take flyers on. The first one I would pick up is Jeff Wilson Jr. He plays for the 49ers. Now, he was behind Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, and Jerick McKinnon on the depth chart, but all 3 of them have gotten hurt. So Wilson could see touches, especially if all 3 of those running backs ahead of him have to sit out. I think that he should be able to do pretty well if he's in a starting role. Another player who might benefit from an injury is Carlos Hyde. Now, he plays for the Seahawks, and Chris Carson, the runner in front of him, he unfortunately got hurt. So Carlos Hyde might have some value. He could split touches, but I think he has good standalone value. Even if Carson were to return, he's a good handcuff to have just in case Carson gets hurt again. Another running back that did really well this past week is Sony Michel for the Patriots. He ran better than I've ever seen him run before against the Raiders, and I think that he could be their best back going forward. And a couple of deep sleepers I'll just throw out here. One is JaMycal Hasty, plays for the 49ers. Like I said before, 49ers are extremely beat up right now. They've got a lot of injuries, especially in the backfield. Hasty's their 5th string running back, but he could end up seeing some touches this week if McKinnon and Coleman and Mostert can't go. So he could have split some touches with Jeff Wilson. So keep an eye on him. And another one is Travis Homer. He's running back for the Seahawks. He could end up splitting carries for a couple of weeks with Carlos Hyde. So definitely somebody else to keep an eye on.
Well, there you go. As I'm sure everyone knows, it's always nice to have an extra set of handcuffs on you. So get those handcuffs that Caleb just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which wide receivers broke out this week that we should be looking to pick up on our team?
Well, the one that really broke out is Justin Jefferson, plays for the Vikings. Now, he was amazing. He had 7 receptions for 175 yards and a touchdown. He looked really, really good. And I think that he could have some good value, be very consistent going forward. He seemed like the key to unlocking that Minnesota Vikings offense that's been struggling. But I like him a lot. Definitely should try to pick him up if he's available and if you're able to. Another wide receiver I think could have some value this season is Cole Beasley. Now, he led the team in targets for the Bills this past week, so he could be a valuable receiver to have. Definitely as bye weeks are approaching, we're going to need to fill in some slots once our guys are having to sit out for a week or two. So definitely keep an eye on him. Another one is Brandon Ayuk. He is actually the number 1 receiver currently for the 49ers. Like I've said before, they're very beat up. They're throwing out just anybody, but Ayuk produced well in his start this past week, and he should have some valuable going forward, unless, of course, he gets hurt. Andy Isabella plays for the Cardinals. He had a huge game. He scored 2 touchdowns back in week 3, but I think he's a bit of a boom or bust candidate. You could plug him into your lineup. He might get you 20 points, or he could get you 2 points. You never really know what you're going to get with Andy Isabella going forward, but any player like that, any player that can score you 20 points on a given week, you should give him a shot if needed. A player I like a lot, actually, too, is Hunter Renfrow. He plays for the Raiders. Now, he seems to be the second best receiving option for the Raiders and the one who David Carr likes the most. I think that you can definitely count on him to plug and play if you need him in your lineup. And the last one I'll mention is T. Higgins. He's actually probably the one I'm most excited about other than Justin Jefferson, just because he could develop into Joe Burrow's favorite target. He saw 9 targets in week 3, which is a ton. So he could really explode onto the scene, be a really valuable wide receiver to have for your team.
Well, there you have it. Are there any tight ends, because we can't forget about those tight ends, that we should be picking up this week?
Yeah, there's a couple that I like. One is Mo Alley Cox. He's had 2 really good weeks back-to-back, and I think that he could be turning into Phillip Rivers' new Antonio Gates. Phillip Rivers loves being able to throw the ball to tight ends, so Mo Alley Cox could have some value for you if you need a tight end. Another one is Logan Thomas. Now, Logan Thomas hasn't really produced quite yet, but he's seen a super high target share in Washington's offense. And whenever we're seeing somebody get so many targets, it's always good to keep an eye on them, because they could explode later on down the road. Another tight end I like a lot is Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham, he hadn't been doing great with Mitchell Trubisky as quarterback, but now that Nick Foles is starting, he's got some serious value. So definitely somebody else to keep an eye on. And another deep sleeper I'll just throw out there to keep an eye on is Ross Dwelley, plays for the 49ers. Now, like I've said, the 49ers have had some serious injury concerns. That includes tight ends George Kittle and Jordan Reed. They've both been beat up. Kittle could return this week, but if he doesn't, Dwelley will probably get the start. He could be someone that could produce, again, a deep sleeper that you could probably just throw a flyer at if you want to.
Okay. Well, so we know that you say every week to kind of play your defense by week. So are there any defenses we should be looking to pick up this week?
Yeah, there's 2 for this week. So one is the Broncos, and the second I say who they're playing, you're going to understand why. So the Broncos play the Jets this week.
There you have it.
And the Jets are terrible. They are the worst team in football. They have only scored 4 offensive touchdowns all year. So it's insane. 4 touchdowns for the entire year for the Jets. So that means that the Broncos should have no problem at all containing their offense. They should do perfectly fine as your defense this week. And the other team I like a lot is probably playing the team that's the second worst in the NFL, and that's the Rams. The Rams are playing the New York Giants. The Giants have actually only scored 3 offensive touchdowns this year. So the Rams should be able to completely destroy the Giants. The Giants turn over the ball a lot. That means a lot of points for the opposing defense. And Daniel Jones, he's going to get sacked a lot too. The Giants' offensive line is terrible. So I think that the Rams' defense is going to do really well. Definitely a streaming option for Week 4.
Okay, I think my new favorite thing is, so I don't know if you guys do this, but last week we introduced Caleb and he was coming to us live at, which was in New York. And Harry is saying that 2 of the worst teams in the NFL are his state teams. Here we go. He must just not like them, I guess.
Yeah, they're not good. I mean, I'm from New York, but I would much rather watch the Buffalo Bills than either the New York Jets or the Giants right now. Man, they're both terrible. And technically, those teams both play in New Jersey, so I think I'm off the hook there on a technicality.
Yeah, but we'll let you have it. You can have the technicality, but we almost made it a whole episode though without Caleb saying that he hates the Jets, but here we are. He let it go.
Not quite.
Now that we have our waiver wires kind of done, let's go into trades and targets. So, are there any players that had bye weeks this week that we should be looking to pick up?
Yeah, so a few players had down weeks and haven't been able to have the start of the season they would like, but I think can have some value for your team. One is Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon, he's running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's been disappointing so far this year, but he's getting the volume that he needs to produce. So it's only a matter of time before he's able to take that volume, take all those touches that he's getting in the backfield, and turn those into points. I think he's going to be perfectly fine as a running back 1 or 2 for the rest of the season. So definitely someone you can probably go out and get fairly cheap right now. And another player that finds himself in a similar situation is Kenyon Drake for the Cardinals. He also has not been great this season. In fact, on one of my fantasy teams, I have Kenyon Drake. He hasn't been great. But I think that he's going to turn it around. He's getting the volume that he needs to produce. And eventually that volume is going to turn into fantasy points. And they're going to be valuable running backs for your team. So definitely a couple running backs to go out and target and try to trade for. Another running back I actually like a little bit less, but still like him as someone to trade for, is David Montgomery. He plays for the Chicago Bears. And he's going to benefit because Tariq Cohen, his teammate, he just got injured. He's going to be out for the year. So Montgomery should benefit from that. He's going to probably see an increase in touches. And I think Montgomery can produce, especially now that the Bears' offense has been revitalized a little bit with Nick Foles coming in. I think that Montgomery has a lot of potential. I think he could end up being something really productive for your fantasy team. And the last person I think you should go out and target is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews has had 2 poor performances in a row. I'm really surprised he didn't play well against the Chiefs this last Monday, but I think that he's going to be great for the rest of the season. He's still a top 5 tight end. You want to have him on your team, and you should be able to pick him up very cheap right now, be able to somehow get him from whatever team has him in your league. I think that it will be very valuable for you if you can go out and get Mark Andrews.
So fun fact, you said Joe Mixon again this week, and we talked about this last week, but I watched him play in college. He went to OU in 2017, and I don't know why this play stands out the most to me from that whole game. And I don't know why this play stands out to me, but the quarterback, Baker was the quarterback at the time, Mayfield, threw it to him, and instead of running it, there was an open guy in the end zone, and he literally, Joe Mixon, threw it to the other guy. And the pass was not pretty, let me tell you. I think that's why it stands out the most, is because it looked so bad going through the air, but the other guy caught it for a touchdown. And I don't know why out of everything that stood out the most to me, but I'll just never forget it. But I think it's because it looked so bad. The ball was literally just sideways, not even a spiral. It was just, but it was a good, I was just like, okay, I am here for it.
That's
I was
awesome.
just like, I can't believe that just happened, but okay. Are there any players that had breakout weeks this week that we should feel okay with trading away?
Yeah, I mean, none of these players necessarily broke out, but they're all players I think that you should be able to trade away whose value is fairly high, or probably about as high as it's ever going to get. So I think that you should probably try to trade away Todd Gurley, plays for the Falcons. I don't like Gurley in this offense. He has been playing super well. In fact, like I said earlier, Brian Hill's been playing better than Gurley. I think Gurley could end up seeing himself phased out of this offense as the season goes along, or he could get hurt. So I think if you have Todd Gurley on your team, try to trade him while his value is high. He had a touchdown this past week. I think you should be able to get somebody to bite and trade for Todd Gurley. Another player you can trade away is Ronald Jones. I think I said this last week too, but Ronald Jones, I think his value is only going to decrease as the season goes on. He's stuck in a timeshare right now, and while he's getting the most touches right now, I think that could change. I think Leonard Fournette is eventually going to eat into his workload quite a bit, And I just don't want any part of that backfield at all right now. I think that you should be able to trade away Jones while his value is still relatively high. And the last player I'll say is Carson Wentz, quarterback for Philadelphia. Wentz has had an awful start to his season, but he did put up some good fantasy points this past week. So while his value is high, trade him away. You don't want Wentz as your starter. You should be able to pick up somebody off waivers actually to replace him and do better than he is. So trade away Wentz, get whatever you can for him if you can get anything at all for him at this point.
Well, there you have it. This video should really help you kind of feel or see who you guys need to add to your roster and who you guys should feel okay with trading away. As we all know, there's always going to be twists and turns during football, but hopefully me and Kayla can be your Michael Orr and help you avoid those unexpected blindside tackles. So, with that being said, This is Fantasy Tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and throw a little overview over here on the side, kind of letting you guys know who, again, we think you should try to add through your waiver wire, who you should to target and trade, just to kind of give you a little recap. As always, my name is Jaden, and we are here to give you the information today so you can win tomorrow. Good luck this week, guys. See you soon.